thank you for coming to this interview today. I am Yukine from Japanese youth environmental organization called COND, or Change Our Next Decade. So first, Nusa, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Nusa. I am the head of the STEM department at SovLanatir. SovLanatir is essentially a Mauritian organization. So all of the executive team and members, they are essentially Mauritians. With regards to the Wakasho oil spill, I have been leading a long-term restoration plan where we are creating a new mangrove plantation site to compensate for the loss of ecological function that happened as a result of the oil spill on our Ramsar mangrove site. Yeah. I'm also a student, a third year student at Stanford. So right now I'm taking my classes from my home country, Mauritius. Yes, one of the good things with Mauritius is that we have managed to control the situation. But yeah, there was a certain time when we had to stop everything because there was a complete lockdown on the country. Right now, there's no lockdown and still have our activities running normally. We have overcome that stage in a way. Mauritius is a very interesting place. It's a very beautiful place. It's very unique. I don't know if you heard about the Dodo Bird. One that yeah. So the Dodo Bird was endemic to Mauritius and was only present in Mauritius. We used to have a very big, unique diversity of animals in Mauritius. We also used to have giant tortoises and all. We did lose a lot of our what we used to own, but we still have a few which we are fighting really hard to preserve in the remain, and we are trying to. There are active reforestation efforts that are being done in that regard. An exclusive economic zone. We are the 20th country with the largest one. We have a lot of marine species in that as well, whales, dolphins, and those are the common one that we are familiar with. But we also have a lot of very diverse species in there. Giant sea turtles as well. Yeah, it's kind of funny because the accident happened when I was in a quarantine center when I had just come back to the US. At this point, the boat just crashed onto the reefs, but the oil spill did not start dispersing in the ocean. But when I came out of quarantine, that was when the oil started spilling. Because it was a pretty huge tanker, and we could see it very, very well from far. It was a pretty big thing as well. So the media reported about it. They kind of followed it right from the time that it struck the reefs. That was during the initial stages, but then when the oil started spilling and all, there was also foreign media reporters that got involved. One of the people reporting and analyzing the situation was a Forbes reporter who was a Mauritian himself, but was based in the US, who was using GIS and remote sensing to monitor how the ship traveled when it hit the Mauritius and just the pathway and the oil spill extent itself. And they were communicating through Forbes article about the situation to the Mauritian audience and also internationally. There were a lot of information sources. There were also NGOs. When the oil started spilling, there were NGOs who were on field and were also communicating direct updates about for example where the oil spill has reached. So that there was a wide variety of sources that we got. Yes, it was a pretty huge thing here. Everybody was talking about it in some ways because we did have an oil spills before, but we never had something to this extent affecting our coast directly.
Yeah, right.
And having so much oil in our lagoon itself, we did not really have that before. There were a lot of fishermen and coastal people whose livelihoods were at stake, and not just their livelihoods but also their health. It was just a big catastrophe in general, and it was a very visible one as well. Oil spilling more and more. We as citizens had the option of either waiting for the government to act or doing something ourselves.
Yeah, right.
We kind of try to organize ourselves among community, try to contain the oil spill. That was what happened. There was bagasse, the remnant of the sugar cane when they process sugar cane. What is left behind? They could use that to contain the oil spill. as an adsorbent. We did like some research at SovLanatir to be able to show that. And then we also found that potentially like hair could be an absorbent as well. So we tried to gather these materials from the local people. So I donated my hair as well. Yeah, there were a lot of women who donated their hair. My mom donated their hair. My whole family, my sister as well, like gave some of her hair. I tried to like get the people in the region around me and collect the hair as well. There were like hairdressers all across Mauritius. Some of them were giving free haircuts for a reduced price, have like the hair donated to the Wakasho oil spill crisis. And they were not just that, but there were like people from abroad as well who were sending in their hair. Like there were in France, like a company in Mauritius who contacted the hairdressers and like they mobilized and sent over. And we managed to get a huge proportion of hair as a result to complement and contain the oil spill. And that was being done, like the hair and the bagas, until like the government like stepped in with like the sophisticated booms, and some had a relation with nature and the environment who were working in that field, but like there were a lot of people who weren't as well. I think during the middle of the crisis of the Wakasho oil spill crisis, there was a school which was very close to the oil spill that closed. I think they have been resuming the classes normally. They have been taking like fish samples, and they have shown that the oil spill content has drastically reduced. There's still cleaning like the mangrove and all. There's still like residues left, but it's not like to the extent that all activities are being stopped in those regions. At this stage, when we had the Wakasho, we felt like we had gone over like the COVID crisis, like after the lockdown and all, when like we were starting to recover like economically and trying to like get back on track. And this oil spill happened and took another toll on like the economy. And it was probably like one of the major like catastrophes that we had with respect to our oceans for a long time. The amount of oil that got into our lagoon, it was like a pretty significant one with respect to the size of our island, and also like significant one like for the people and for the biodiversity that we had in our coastal region. It's something that unfortunately will take a lot of time to recover from, because like there are so many of micromolecules that will remain in our lagoon. We still don't know how intensive cleaning effort with regard to bioremediation will be, and how far they will be able to remove all of these small remnants of the oil that remains. I think like research still needs to be continued, and like the Wakasho oil spill is not a chapter that we will need to close so soon. So my message is like the most important thing for us is like to first keep ourselves aware of what's happening with regards to nature, and also be willing to engage in that fight to preserve what we have. Actually, with like the rapid like destruction, like the Wakasho oil spill was a major human caused event that caused a lot of damage to our ocean. But there are also like a lot of systematic, constant, like repetitive destruction that occur like every day, and that we have almost in some ways taken for granted. So I think it's very important like to keep the fight going and keep on striving to maintain what we have. And the name of your organization, Change Our Next Decade, embodies like that vision of preserving the biodiversity that we have for the next decade, I guess. But,
Thank you so much for your time and your stories.
It was so nice talking to you. All right. Bye.